All right, so let's explore functions a little bit more. So we'll try different template this time. So this is the homepage, and when you go to function app, and then you will see we created one HTTP trigger function already in the function app. So we already have that. We'll go ahead and create one here. But before we create, I wanted to, okay, so let's start by creating here. The template that I want to use this time is the queue. And what we want to do is we want to use Amazon Storage Queue. So anytime there is a new message on the storage queue, this function will get triggered and then we'll have data to process. So that's the scenario I'm trying to kind of test it. So let's create queue trigger. But before we do that, let's create a queue. So to go that, let me open in new tab. So a link in new tab. Okay, so we have that. And now, as I was mentioning earlier, we need to have storage account, and within storage account, there is going to be queues, blobs, things like that. It's slightly different than AWS. So I already have one storage account. So within storage account, everything will reside. So within storage account, you go to thing called data storage, and within data storage, you have containers, file shares, queues, tables, things like that um, you can store. So we'll focus on queues. So we'll have queues. We don't have anyone right now. So this is I am assuming this is like SQS. We doesn't give you FIFO queue, which AWS has. So this is slightly different. So let's create a queue. So we can just test queue. And okay. So queue created successfully. Now let's go ahead and post some messages there. Okay, switch to access key and go ahead. And we can set test message. Test message number one. Can change the expiration to say 7 hours. And okay. And then it will post messages like this. So it will queue the messages like this. Now, what we want to do is we want to write Azure function which will process these messages, or which will get triggered based on the messages created into this queue. So the name of the queue is, okay, let's go back to queues. The name of the queue is test queue. So we'll have to just use that. So let's create a function and we need to choose the right template. So there's the queue trigger. Let's click on next. Append to the app. So we'll append to the existing app. So we'll append to um, the app that we created already, which hosts the HTTP trigger, and we'll leave the name queue trigger one. The queue name is test queue. So we'll just mention that. And then storage account information. We'll just say new. And we have the storage ending with 8F6P. So we'll select that. Click OK. So we have that and we click on create. Okay, so it's creating the function. Looks like the function is created and it opens up this by default. Now, if you look at this, this has the same code file has the HTTP trigger route as well as the new one that is added, which is the trigger, the one we added. So the one which is going to use the test queue as a trigger, any messages into it. So let's go ahead and see what is in that code. So really just this Python queue trigger process the message. So, and then it will print %s. So it will print the message here. So let's go ahead and it'll print the body of the message, decoded UTF-8. So that's what the %s is. So let's go ahead and go to logs. That's where we will see. So let it connect to insights, and then we'll start inputting the messages and see how it goes. So we have this. Let's open the queue. Let's add a message here. So we can just say test message number one, expire in 7 minutes. Click OK. Let's set one message. Let's see if it did anything here. Technically, it should get triggered and it should get logged here. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so Python queue triggered process the message. That's message one. Let's try another one. Add message to, and if you go back to this step, guess there's some latency here, but you should pretty much see it here. There it is. That's message two. So if you go back to the code, so the utility of this is that you are able to like have the function execute based on the messages in the queue. So you can create a data pipeline where messages are coming in, they're getting processed by this function, and then you can store it to the database. You can move it further to, I guess, data lake, and then for analytics, things like that. So there are a lot of options that this can unlock. I've done extensive on that on AWS, but this was not a huge lift, slightly different, but I still think this is in a way, it is slightly different, but not a huge lift for someone who has been a developer for to get up to speed really quickly on building some of these data pipelines.